Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode here in NHL 22. Now, I just want to let you guys know that I am pre-recording this episode just because I, for some reason, have like an insane itch to record more of this franchise mode just because this team is just so fun to watch and it is really fun this series. So anyways, I do have a trade in mind. I asked you guys about potential trades, and obviously since I'm pre-recording this, I'm kind of way ahead of your guys' comments by a few days and whatnot, but I did find a trade that I think will make sense for this team, and I think will upgrade this defensive core because I decided to ask you guys a bit on Twitter what we really need because I showed you guys the lines on Twitter if you guys follow me over there. But basically the main thing I think that we really need other than goaltending upgrading wise is probably another defenseman because you can see that our defensive core is still a little bit weaker even though we did just bring in Rasmus Dahlin in the offseason via trade. I think this team still needs like another defenseman that's probably 83 and above. So I found the perfect defenseman that could help us out, and that's what we're going to be trading for to make this team a little bit better, and hopefully that could help propel us into being even a better playoff team this upcoming season. So yeah, let's get into making that trade, and then we'll simulate the rest of the season, and then hopefully this team could have a good run in the playoffs. We're actually going to be making two trades because I am going to be trading away also Hordichuk on the defensive core. The main reason being is just because we're upgrading from that spot anyways, because basically how I see it is Dahlin's going to be playing with the defenseman we're going to be bringing in, and then the second pairing is still going to be Sasaki and Bilesma, and then more than likely it's going to be Burkov and Festerling. Even if there's like a -3, I think I still trust the two of these guys to play together, so there's always that, or we could just kind of readjust the lines a little bit so there's no negative, but basically, yeah, the rest of this team I really trust. I am going to be moving, like I said, Hordichuk after we make this trade just because we're going to be upgrading his defensive core a bit. Hordichuk's not been a terrible player defensively in the regular season, but his playoff numbers I'm not really sold on still, so he's not really been that top 4 of a defenseman that he's been panned out to be, but yeah, he's an okay defenseman, but we're still, since he has value, might as well trade him away and upgrade our defensive core a bit. We could always move out Festerling instead, but I want to give this guy an opportunity since he's got low top 4 potential and he's younger out of the two. And yeah, Hordichuk I don't think is going to be with this team much longer anyways because he is a pending RFA again this season. So let's get into making those trades, and then we will sim the season and see what happens. So the first trade we're going to be making is for a player that's currently injured, but he is going to be back within the next few days. I'll show you guys his injury currently, but he will help out our defensive core quite a bit once he comes back. That is Mr. What was his first name? Steven, I think. I can't check on the screen. I think it's Steven Fairchild. But anyways, this guy's coming back on January the 18th. He's got injured ribs currently, but he is going to be a very good defenseman to help us out. So let's go to the fine trade thing. He's over in Seattle currently, so we're taking one from, I believe, not a divisional opponent, a Western Conference opponent, we should say. He's not on the trading block, but he's only got 1 year left on his deal, and they are willing to trade him when I do go to the trade finder, so it makes sense. You can see he's making 5.205, so he just barely fits into our cap space. And yeah, 85 at 26, 1 year is pretty solid, I'd say. And hopefully we could re-sign him in the offseason because maybe he'll become a top 2 defenseman for us for many years to come, because there's a good chance we could lose like Rasmus Dahlin this offseason. So let's see the trade offers. So this is the trade offer I got in the trade finder, and I think it's one that we got to take, is Burn in 2/4. Now Burn does have medium elite potential, but he was one of the lower elite potential goalies. As you can see, Burn is only a 54 at 20. I don't really think he's going to pan out, and if he does, he's going to be probably like a lower end starting goalie. So we are going to be trading him as part of this with 2 4th-rounders, which I think is a good trade for us to make, and that will upgrade our defensive core a little bit. Now, it is going to put us close to the cap space, but we are going to probably, like I said, trade away Hordichuk, and we will free up some more cap space in a different trade. So Burn in 2 4th-rounders, and let's bring in Fairchild and upgrade this defensive core a little bit. And yeah, hopefully that could get us a Stanley Cup, that trade right there. And like I said, we are going to be trading away Hordichuk as well, which will be able to bring us in, I think it was 2 3rd-rounders, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go do that first, and then while we wait for Fairchild to come back, we will probably end up just playing Jankomovs for a couple games, just to get him some more games, because he hasn't played really a lot this season. So but yeah, we are going to trade away Hordichuk. You guys say we could probably keep him, and then we could just scratch Festerling and then move Jankomovs, but There's probably no offers for Jacob Walls, I would assume. Oh, there actually is. Now, we could always do that and then just scratch Festerling. And then we wouldn't have the minus. You know what? I might move Jankomovs instead. Because Hordichuk is an RFA, so at least we could qualify him in the offseason. Or we could trade his rights away still, I think. I wasn't thinking there was going to be any offers for somebody like Jankomovs. I don't really like scratching Festerling since he's young. But we might as well just do it. Yeah, you know what? We're going to just trade away Jankomovs instead, because then at least our defensive core looks still a little bit stronger, because if we have a 78 there instead of the 79, it's a little bit weaker, but the 85 obviously helps it out. But yeah. Okay, sorry about that. My controller randomly died, but as I was saying, Festerling, I think, would be probably better to use as a depth defenseman than Jankomovs for now, even though Festerling's been good. And if we have the value still from Hordichuk, we could always trade his rights away and pick up something next offseason. So, yeah, let's just do Jankomovs instead. I didn't realize Jankomovs was going to get any offers thrown for him because he's so low, but looks like we get either 2 7th-rounders or a 6th-rounder, which I don't know who I want to trade him to. Let's just trade him to Florida. Why not? Best of luck in Florida there, Jankomovs. You're not a bad depth defenseman, but we have just upgraded you anyways, so there's that. And then, yeah, Festerling will be a depth defenseman for us. Hordichuk will play, but if Hordichuk plays bad randomly in the playoffs, Festerling will come in, that type of thing. So, but yeah, I'm very excited to see what Fairchild could do on our defensive core, because even though he's a defensive defenseman, I think he'll be a good shutdown kind of guy to have next to somebody like Rasmus Dahlin. But for now, obviously, the defensive core will stay like this until Fairchild is back. And where are we looking for? Oh, Bykov got sent back down randomly. That's kind of weird. So I guess we'll call back up Bykov because he's our other depth forward, because we need to make sure we have 2 depth forwards up here just in case of any injuries. McGrath is getting really close to being an NHL defenseman, which is kind of crazy. So we do have guys in the system that are getting very close to being in the NHL. And yeah, our team in the NHL and AHL is pretty deep. So this is our roster. We just got to wait on Fairchild to return. And then, yeah, Fairchild will take over Burkhoff's top 2 pairing with Dahlin, because he's definitely a lot better suited for there. And then Burkhoff would probably play with Hordichuk, and then Festerling will be scratched, I think. Yeah, that's the way we'll go. So our defensive core should be pretty good shutdown-wise, because Bilesma and Sasaki very good defensively. And then, obviously, the addition of Fairchild should also help out that top 2 pairing a bit as well defensively. So there is our 2 trades that we are going to make, and more than likely we aren't going to make any more unless we come across something we can't reject. Like maybe we just want to upgrade our goaltending situation, but we don't have a whole lot of cap space now, I don't think. Yeah, we still have 3.5. That's not bad. If we need to, we could always pick up some more depth at the trade deadline, but I don't think this team's going to really need too much, because we should easily make the playoffs with which our record is right now, because we're 30-10-1, and yeah, we're primed to probably maybe win a President's Trophy if we keep up this pace. I don't know. 8-1 loss to Colorado, though. That's kind of crazy after that trade. And then a 7-4 win, and Fairchild is back, which is great. I am excited to see what Fairchild could do, so we'll take Burkov out of that spot, and then we'll put Burkov down here. I don't like putting Burkov on the top 6 pairing, really, but he's more suited better for there, so yeah, we'll just go something like that. And then power play-wise, let me just see, make sure Burkov is on the power play instead of Fairchild, because Burkov is more offensively minded, because Fairchild's more of a defensive defenseman, so Fairchild's going to be more on to our like penalty kill units and whatnot. So we'll take Hordichuk off the penalty kill, and we will throw in Fairchild and see where this. Oh, okay, that works better. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what Fairchild could do in terms of helping out our penalty kill and whatnot. Sucks though to scratch Festerling, but sometimes you got to upgrade your defensive core a little bit. Let's go with something like that. That works. Okay, so there is our new adjusted line. So forwards are staying the same, and defense now looks like that, which I think looks a lot better. Let's see what Fairchild could help out our defensive core like. Playing a little bit worse defensively in some of those games we had recently, but hey, we don't want to have a perfect season either. So the Canucks have fired their head coach, Keith Yandel. So Keith Yandel became a coach I didn't even realize. Must have been early in this franchise mode. Bilesma was never injured. But yeah, our team is starting to struggle a little bit in this since we've made those trades, which is kind of weird because you think it would improve our team. As now Fairchild's been injured for the second time, which is not good because we don't want him to be injured in the playoffs and all that type of thing. But yeah, our team is kind of struggling a little bit, which is okay, I guess, because we don't want to be a perfect team and to make the playoffs. So we want to go on a little bit of a losing streak, and we're 38, 23, and 1, so we fell off quite a bit. We are still second best in our division with 77 points, which is nice. And that's still up there for probably like top 7 in the league. I don't even really know. Matthews is still well over point per game as well. Not too bad. But yeah, I don't think this team really needs to make any trades unless we want to upgrade our depth that we have on forwards. Let's see what we got here. Damon is really good as a depth guy. Baikov, not bad either as a depth option. Yeah, I don't really think there's anything we could do. I just really hope that our guy we just traded for doesn't get injured a lot. But yeah, I think our defensive core is fine. I don't think we're going to make any trades unless there's a goalie on the block, but I don't think there's going to be anything that I really need. You know what? Yeah, I don't think we're going to make any trades. Yeah, we're not going to make any trades. I trust in this team. You got to have trust in the team sometimes. Even though we are on a little bit of a losing skid as of late, it's probably just getting used to having Fairchild in our lineup and also maybe some of the injuries and whatnot. Let's go in as a buyer. Let me actually take a quick look, though, still in just to see if there's any goalies on the block. So I'm not going to upgrade our forward core. It's kind of pointless. Genoway, but I really don't think he's going to be a good playoff goalie. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a good playoff goalie, to be honest. Like, he's on Toronto. He's got 1 year left. We don't really have the cap space either for him, is the thing. Oh, yeah, he's $10 million. I didn't even realize he was making that much. Thought it said $6 million. But, yeah, I think it's kind of pointless. Let me just see. Yeah, I think we don't need anything, so just going to exit this. We aren't going to make any trades at this year's deadline. And, yeah, we're just going to run with the team we have. Sometimes you got to trust in it, so Tuck on waivers. And not really. He's not a bad depth option, but we already got some depth guys. He's on decline. He's probably going to retire soon, so it's kind of pointless. And now Sasaki's been injured with a concussion, but he will be back for the playoffs. But that's 2 big defensive injuries near the end of the season, which is not great, but our team is still winning games, so at least that's good news. And just kind of a surprise. We will take Festerling out and put in Fairchild, and then take Dalmo out and put Festerling in that spot, just while we wait for Sasaki to return on April the 7th. But we're fighting through adversity with these injuries, at least near the end of the season. Will we hit 50 wins this season? Probably not. It's probably just going to be a shy of 50 wins, right? And now Austin Matthews has been injured with a sore foot till April the 19th, so that might be part of the first round. I don't know why he's out so long term with a sore foot. Maybe I should have picked up an extra depth forward in case. Yeah, looks like he's going to miss a bit of the playoffs to start off with, which is kind of questionable, but it is what it is. Got to fight through this, and hopefully we could have a good playoff run regardless of injuries. Hopefully those don't come back to bite us. So Sasaki back in on the defensive core. A couple more losses, which is not good. Damn, we are really struggling this second half of the season, which we really shouldn't be. And Fairchild's injured his foot. What the heck is this, Fairchild? You've been injured 3 times. 49, 29, and 4. At least we still made the playoffs and still finished first best in our division. But a little bit of a sluggish end to the year. Michkov still hit 50 goals, even though he didn't play a full 82 games this year, which is kind of nuts. But yeah, we finished first best in our division. We're not going to finish top 5 in the league, it looks like, but pretty close at least. So let's advance a day, get the rest of the season done. There you go. And yeah, Fairchild is still injured, and who is the other one? Matthews still? Yeah, both of them are back on the same day, it looks like, so unfortunately, we're going to be without them for the first, at least, game of the series, maybe the first 2 games. But I think our team should be still okay without them, because this is what our team looks like going into the playoffs, just in case you guys want to see the roster. So Dalmo is going to be taking over that spot. He had 16 points in 15 games as a depth guy, so I don't... he definitely deserves that opportunity to get a couple playoff games in, and then Festerling's going to be taking over on that top pairing. So there we go. Let's take a look at these player stats for the regular season and the team stats, all that stuff. and then see who we're facing in the first round of the playoffs, which should be pretty exciting, I would assume. So we are going to be finishing 5th best in the league, actually. Nice. Just above the Nashville Predators and just behind the Montreal Canadiens, Columbus, Tampa Bay, and New Jersey, who wins the President's Trophy this year. Interesting. Goals for per game on average. We are the best offensive team in the league, scoring 4 goals a game. So that's nice. It dropped off kind of a lot because it was closer to 5 before, but to get 4 goals a game on average, that's really nice to see. That's quite a bit better than like New Jersey and whatnot. Goals against per game wise, our defense, where is our defense? Our defense wasn't that good, I don't think, this season. Yeah, 3.29. We need to probably be a bit better defensively, but it is what it is. We're just a good offensive team. Power play percentage wise, we were one of the best on the power play, 21.3%. And our penalty kill, 80.2%, is not very good either. So looks like we need to be a bit better of a defensive team, but we're really good offensively right now. 25-14-2 on home ice and 24-15-2 on the road, so very similar records. And then 4-4-2 in our last 10 games, which hopefully means this team is just going to turn it on in the playoffs, because the team should have been a lot better in the second half, but for some reason, after we made that trade, it came crashing down, even though we did just trade away Jake Malzoli. That was roster players wise. So let's take a look at our player stats for the season. No 100-point guys on our team, which is kind of surprising, but Matthews finishes with 90 points in 74 games, obviously getting injured right near the end of the season, but yeah, that was pretty good. He hasn't really been that healthy with us so far, but he still picks up a good amount of points. Hopefully he can have a good playoff run. He is 38 now, and he's probably going to retire this offseason, my guess. Geeky, 67 points. Looks like he kind of had a slow second half of the season, but still pretty solid offensive season for him. His production is kind of probably on its way down, just because he's 31 at this point. Wow, Gage Penner, 52 points. That's pretty solid from him, because he took over that role for Bentley on the third line, and he did pretty good, plus 26 as well. So since moving out Bentley, that definitely helped out Penner, because his best before that was his rookie season with 25 points. Kind of showing a little bit of that offensive capability he had down in junior, or not in junior, in AHL. That's pretty solid. And then Spalling, 30 points, 17 goals, 13 assists, not bad, -7. Not bad from a fourth line type of guy. Now in his career, he's got 42 points in 103 games. I'll take it. Demo, 16 points though in 15 games as a depth option is nuts. 1 goal and 15 assists. So he definitely helped out when he did get the opportunity. 26 points in 24 games as a depth option is kind of nuts. Hopefully he could play good while Matthews is injured for a little bit, and then he'll be back to being scratched. Bykov, 5 points in 9 games isn't bad either as a depth option, so good stuff from our depth scoring guys. Left wing wise, Agostino, 92 points in 78 games. Not a full season for Agostino this year, but still pretty good, even though he didn't break 100 points this year, which is kind of unfortunate after last year he had 108, but still I'll take 92 points. That's a pretty good year. Only 8 power play points is kind of questionable. I'm kind of surprised he only had 8 power play points. That means like majority of his points were 5-on-5. Normally he picks up like 30 power play points around a season, but only 8 power play points. So our power play kind of struggled, I guess, in the second half of the season, something like that. That's interesting. Shishkinov, 78 points is really good from him. He's just been getting better and better, but he's already 28, so he kind of dropped off a little bit, actually, because he was on pace for 100 and something points, but then I guess our offense kind of dropped off a little bit, something like that. McIntyre, 29 points is pretty good for a fourth line role. Michkov, 96 points and 50 goals. Insane season from Matvei Michkov in terms of scoring goals again. His point production a little bit lower, but once again missed a couple games due to injury. And yeah, he's just been a goal scoring machine since we brought him in. Like every single season he's been with us, he's been on pace to have over 50 goals. Even I'd say probably this year where he had 46 goals in 79 games. But yeah, he's been insane so far. He's only signed for 2 more seasons, which is a little bit scary. But Mikhail Kagorodov, 51 goals, 84 points in 82 games for the youngster. He is just getting better and better every year. 217 points, 123 goals now in his career. 26 years of age. He's just been a goal-scoring machine, and I hope he shows up in the playoffs as well, because it took him a bit last year, but then he started scoring a lot. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what he could do in the playoffs this year because 51 goals in his third season. It's really impressive. So good stuff from Kagrodov. Shelley actually hit 32 goals this year, 64 points. Not too bad from playing third line minutes. So he got less ice time than last year by quite a large margin, I think. Yeah, by 3 minutes. Yet he picked up right around the same amount of points and had way less goals, but still shooting 18.5% this year. You can't complain about Calvin Shelley's play. And yeah, if we lose him this offseason, it's going to suck, but I'd like to try and keep him around as long as possible. Yoshimura hit 48 points in his rookie season. That's pretty solid as well. Good depth scoring. Hopefully he continues to do that in the playoffs as well. Utsdorf, 21 points is pretty good from a fourth liner. No complaints there. Defensively, Dahlin really had a slow second half of the season. Plus 19 with 47 points. I think he had like 32 points at halfway points, so I think our offense just dropped off a lot. But still pretty solid. 23 points and a plus 31 for Bilesma. 19 points in 70 games and a plus 28 for Sasaki. Burkov had 16 points and was a plus 29. Festerling 15 points in 66 games, plus 9. Fairchild, since coming to us, had 4 points in 25 games and was a minus 2, so he wasn't as good defensively as he was in Seattle. But maybe he'll have a good shutdown playoffs once he comes back from his injury. Hordichuk, 9 points and a plus 22 is really good for him. So good shutdown defender for Zach Hordichuk. And then goalie-wise, what do we got? Korea was 37, 23, and 2 with 3 shutouts and 891 in a 3.44. So Korea had a little bit of a rough season. That's one of the worst seasons Korea's had. He's actually not been that good of a regular season goalie because he's got a decent record, but an 894 career save percentage and a 325 goals against in the regular season is not really that great. So hopefully he could have a good playoff run. And then Kirill Galiev was really good, 12-7 and 2 with 2 shutouts, a 910 save percentage and a 2.66. So I really hope that Galiev could have a good playoffs here. He had a good playoffs a couple years ago. He kind of struggled last year though in the playoffs, so hoping he could bounce back from that. We're more likely going to start him in game 1, I'd assume, of the playoffs. So yeah, hopefully Galiev can get going again this postseason. And yeah, that's basically our player stats. So let's take a look at the entire league and see if Kagrodov finished up there or Mishkov, that type of thing. So there was a couple 100-point guys. So Brad Lambert's going to be the best in the league by a large margin with 125 points and 107 assists, which is kind of nuts. Avery, Bedard, Darling, and Boyce all over 100 points as well. Best goal scorer this season is going to be Darling with 67 goals, which is sad because Kagrodov and Michkov both up there with 50 goals. They both finish up there in the top 10, but not close enough because that Darling guy went off. Most assists obviously going to be Brad Lambert by a large margin. Best plus minus by a forward is going to be Fiddler with a plus 48. Him and Michkov actually both plus 48, so it's pretty nice. I actually didn't realize how good Agostino's plus minus was. It was plus 43 this year, which means he's now career plus 269, which is kind of nuts. Let's just see for fun. Most power play points, Brad Lambert. Most power play goals, Darling. So Darling and Lambert went off this year. Best game-winning goals is Jean Desjardins in San Jose. I almost said Seattle for some reason. Best shorthanded goal scorer was Hudson Yui with 5 shorthanded goals. Wow. What else we got here? Most hits this season, Shishkinov in Detroit. Best block shotter for forwards, Haynes in Toronto. Giveaways, Phil Beal had the most. Best takeaways is going to be Lane Cole in Dallas. Most fights this year, Tulipov in Chicago. And Moses also break 30 fights this year. Crazy. Best defenseman this year for points is going to be Elias Salamonson in Anaheim with 78 points. Followed by Cam Beats with 70. Modine with 69 in Toronto. That was the guy I was debating about trading for in the offseason. And I went and decided to go with Dahlin instead. Pietrangelo 68 points. Fedorov 62. Interesting. Best goal scorer as a defenseman is Kip Kemp and Modine with 17 points or 17 goals each. And then best goalie this season for wins is going to be Marcus Hornquist in New Jersey, former Toronto Maple Leafs goaltender. Braden Ramsey also up there, and Pascal Lacroix. These two goalies are pretty good. Pedersen was up there, our former goaltender, 39 wins. Interesting. Korea was up there in wins, but his stats are not that good. Most shutouts this year is going to be Cyrus Stone and Hornquist with 7 apiece. Best save percentage by a starter is going to be Ramsey in Nashville with a 919, him and Hornquist. It's more likely going to go to Hornquist, I'd assume, but it could go to Ramsey, the Vezina this year. And best save percentage by a starter is Hornquist. So yeah, Hornquist I think is the unanimous one for the Vezina just because of the shutouts and the goals against. In terms of goalie points, any goalie goals this year for fun? Let's see what we got. No goalie goals. And goalie assist wise, it's going to be Harima and Scott with 4 assists. Best rookie this year for points is going to be Eakin, who just beats out Suglobov and Piper. Yoshimura finished 4th in rookie scoring, which is not too bad for a third liner. I'll take that. Interesting season that was. 250 goal scorers on our team. I'd say a little bit worse of a season than last year, but all in all, hopefully we could have a good playoff run once we get our guys back from injury. Let's advance a few days till we get the playoffs ready to go. And yeah, hopefully, yeah, looks like we're going to miss, unfortunately, we're going to miss Matthews and, what's his name, Fairchild for the first 2 games of this series with the Calgary Flames, who I don't think we've played before. They went 41, 34, and 7 in the regular season. I don't think we ever played them in the playoffs. They had a good last 10 games going into the playoffs, but the record is not really that good. They're basically finished 41 and 41, so this might be a bit of a cheese team, which hopefully it is not the case. Hopefully we could easily beat them. So here's what their lineup looks like. They have Duke Drieger, who was a high-up pick in 2027. They also got Connor Bedard, which is a bit scary. We've definitely taken on Connor Bedard in the playoffs before when we faced Ottawa in the Stanley Cup Finals. They also have Caden Eakin, who's an 18-year-old medium elite that just went 2nd overall last offseason, I think. So yeah, that's a very good top line. Second line has Rob Borodziuk, and they also have Victor Yip still and Braylon Nolan. So that's a very good second line as well. Jeez. Because Yip has been a really good two-way kind of guy. Because I'm pretty sure he's been up there for the Selkies, or he has won Selkies before. Yeah, really solid face-off numbers, solid takeaway numbers as well. So yeah, that's a very nasty top 6. Maybe one of the best top 6s we've seen in a while. And then kind of weird for the record as well, I would say. Third line has Lane Fane, which is one of the best names I think I've seen in this franchise mode. Lane Fane. Huh, interesting. They also have Tuomo Cascarenta. And they also have Jonathan Bigara. Fourth line, Matthew Phillips, Steven Baumgartner, and Raphael Bourgeois. So yeah, that offensive core is actually really good. You have a good offensive top 6 and then more of a defensive bottom 6 probably, but very good team, I'd say, offensively. Now, defense is probably where they're questionable, right? And yep, and actually it's not terrible because they're all at least 80 overall, so it's not terrible. They have Wes Millman. They also have Evan Bouchard, which is kind of weird since he was an Edmonton Oiler. Timothy Pronger and Harvey Elliott in a top 6 pairing of Jeremy Poirier and Sylvain Duchesne. Haven't we seen this guy before? I don't know. Or maybe it's just because he won a cup last year in Columbus. I don't know what it is. But yeah, that's their defensive core. So not a terrible defensive core, but they don't have like a unanimous number 1 defenseman. So there's that. And then goalie-wise, they have Jeff Couturier and Bryant Donaghy, who, if I remember correctly, didn't he have yeah, he had a really good rookie season with 43 wins. Yeah, that's that guy. He's actually a pretty solid backup goalie at some stages. And then in terms of scratched-wise, Sebastian Cossa is actually out with an injury right now, so normally they would be playing Cossa as the backup, so I guess they have 3 good goalies. They also have Grigory Denisenko, they have Helge Garanz, and Matthias Johansson. Interesting. So overall-wise, I'm kind of a bit scared because of the fact this team didn't simulate that well in the regular season in terms of the standings. But they have a legit top 6. They have a good bottom 6. And their defensive core is not the worst thing I've ever seen. And goaltending is okay as well. So yeah, I'm a little bit scared about that, but hopefully we can manage to beat them and take out Bedard, because last time, like I said, we played Bedard, we lost in the Stanley Cup Finals back in, I think it was our first ever Stanley Cup Finals that we went to. So yeah, hopefully we can get some redemption on him for that. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to round 1 against the Calgary Flames. as we look to see what this team can do without Matthews and Fairchild until they come back until Game 3. But since we got home ice advantage, I'm hoping that we could use that to our advantage and we could get ourselves back to that second round again. So anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.